Hey everybody, let's go through the results of some of the poll questions here. These are your answers. Let's see what you said. Okay, so when a recruiter says, I don't have a salary range for this job, this means they don't actually have a salary range for this job. They do, but are intentionally lying about it. They're lying about it, but they don't think you know. Or they're lying, they know you know, and they don't care. That was the winner. And yes, that's pretty much the correct answer most of the time. It is a well-known tactic. This is what recruiters do. This is a well-known line, and usually it's false because when they are recruiting for a job, they know how much it pays. That's kind of critical information. Let's see here. The next one. This most effectively increases your confidence. Experience, training, self-help, or the news. And yeah, I would agree with that. Experience is the thing that's going to increase your confidence. If you've done something many times and you've seen that you're successful in it, you can't help but be more confident in your ability to do it. So that's usually how it goes. And I would agree with this basic order of things. The news usually doesn't fill you with a lot of confidence for the human race. But as I have learned, that is by design, because it's all about sensationalism. That is how traditional journalism used to make its money, by getting attention, and nothing has really changed with that. Here we go. Dropping out of the employment rat race to run your own business is not possible. Possible, doomed to failure, or so 2023. This is the joke answer, of course. It's absolutely possible, but the thing is, it really depends on your knowledge of business. Business is the scientific study of making money, and if you don't know the absolute fundamentals, you have a lower likelihood of succeeding. But the good news is that if you tack that on, then you have an elevated sense of being able to do it, elevated possibility of doing it. So learn all you can. Okay, my next ambition is to manage money, people, portfolios, or nothing. This kind of surprised me because nothing has won in the past. But in this case, it was money that won. So my next ambition is to manage money. Now, I suspect people say money in the sense they want to manage their own money. What I meant by doing this poll was what the things that people can manage, like managers, they can manage multiple things, and you get people that manage money, like bankers or finance people. You get people that manage people, okay, so they supervise a team. You get people that manage portfolios. That's a collection of assets, so that's usually also financial people. Or nothing. If you don't manage anything, that usually means you're a worker, or you're an investor, or you're an entrepreneur. But if you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of managing things. So that basically means you're a worker most of the time. Okay, this has the biggest positive impact on one's career. Traffic stopping good looks, leadership skills, networking skills, or confidence. I would agree with this. Networking skills definitely is probably the thing that will have the biggest immediate impact. Confidence, that matters too. I would say that would be the number 2. I would say traffic stopping good looks is probably the 3rd, and leadership skills is the 4th. I mean, they're all useful, but I would say that would be the ranking that I would put it in too. So I agree with that. At work, people treat me differently based on my grooming and attire. So your attire is how you dress, and your grooming is, how you look, your hairdo and all that kind of stuff. So, is this true or false? So true, false, or possibly? Absolutely. This will be true for most people because it's human nature. You make certain assumptions, sometimes subconsciously, about people based on how they look. So that's usually how it goes. Now, whether people are aware of that is another matter, right? A lot of times we are taught to think that that shouldn't be the case, and we could debate that. I kind of agree with that, but we're not talking about what it should be. We're talking about what it is. And yeah, it is true for, most of the time. Here's another one. I hate this question the most. So job interview questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Why should we hire you? What is your weakness? And why did you leave your last job? Now, these are all questions that people find problematic. Job seekers and candidates have found this problematic. They fear these questions, at least when they're starting out. So apparently the winner was, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I honestly think that isn't the thing that most people fear the most. So I was surprised at these poll results. Why should we hire you? If you don't understand what they're really asking here, this ends up striking you as being a stupid question, more than one that you would have a hard time answering. Why should we hire you? Because, you just answer like it's your strengths. What is your weakness? This is actually the one that I've, based on comments, people fear the most, because you have to give something bad about you. It's hard to not have it be incriminating. And why did you leave your last job? They're not worried about that. This is probably one of the most dangerous ones, because if you give anything that suggests that you might have a problem with anything, or you're the type of person that does a certain thing, then that can lead to some issues in them selecting you. So, so interesting. I did not expect these results to go this way. I would much rather interact with lawyers, accountants, politicians, or recruiters. Recruiters did not get the lowest amount of votes, which I was kind of expecting. Apparently, that's politicians. People would not want to interact with politicians. Actually, politicians, depending on if they're elected, they can be pretty powerful. They can pull some strings for you, and things like this. So I wouldn't have thought that would be that bad, but probably just the two-faced nature of it. However, that lawyers also have a reputation with that too. So most people would like to talk to accountants. They'd like to interact with accountants. You might have possibly some dull interaction, I would say, but hey, what do I know? Okay, most people get hired through networking, job postings, eBay, or telepathy, or telepathy, I guess you say it. Yeah, this is absolutely true. Most people get hired through networking. It's surprising that so many people realize this, considering how much pushback I get for saying this on my channel. It feels to me like everybody seems to believe that most people get jobs through job postings, but that's not actually the case. So it's interesting that the silent majority, apparently, everyone recognizes this. So the pushback I'm getting is basically from a minority of people that just don't understand this. That's what this is telling me. eBay is kind of a joke answer, and telepathy is kind of a joke answer, if you know what I mean. We hope. Okay, true or false? You feel more comfortable in job interviews when you know you have other job interviews lined up. True. And that won out. True, false, or possibly. True won on this. And I agree with this. I think that what I'm trying to say with this question is that if you want, you can reverse it. If you want to feel more comfortable in job interviews, then try your best to get other things lined up. So what a lot of candidates do is they get one interview and then they sort of slack off on their job search because, hey, I got something lined up. Why do I need other things? And that is a real missed opportunity. So what I was trying to say with this is, try your best to line up other things, and then you will feel more comfortable in job interviews. I get that question a lot. How do I feel more comfortable in job interviews? This is the best way to do it, because you know that it's not, everything doesn't depend on this one opportunity. A job interview is really all about your qualifications, how much value you can bring, how likable you are, or how well you fit in. Now, this was interesting. this is the winner, and I agree with this. So that's good, because that's basically what it is. They want to know, what you're like as a person, and if you're the most charismatic and likable person, that tends to win out. They tend to hire the most likable candidate. How well you fit in and how much value you can bring, these are debatable of what, is the kind of the number two reason of what it's really about. I think actually this would win out, so I agree with this ranking. And your qualifications are honestly bringing up the rear on this one. So I agree with this general ranking. An interview is not about your qualifications. The application is about your qualifications. Anyone given an interview, the assumption is that you are technically qualified for the job. So it's no longer about this. Now they want to know what you're like as a person. Okay, when is best to send job applications? Now, this is almost like a facetious question. It almost doesn't matter. So I put ASAP, as soon as possible, tomorrow, whenever I damn well please, and a solstice. Obviously, a solstice is a joke answer. Wherever I damn well please is kind of a joke answer. And tomorrow is kind of a joke answer too. So basically it's this. It's really, there is a point to this question, and that is that, there is no real good time, because I've got that question before, when is the best time? Like, they want me to say something like Monday at 3 p.m. or something like that. And there isn't an answer like that. It's just as soon as possible. As soon as it's posted, that will get you the maximum advantage. Would you rather speak with a receptionist, a recruiter, a hiring manager, or a badger? Obviously, a badger is a joke answer, but I wanted to see how that would rank compared with, say, a recruiter. And this is kind of the ranking I was expecting. Most people would rather speak to a hiring manager, and that makes sense because the hiring manager is basically caring about who you are, what you can bring, as opposed to a recruiter who is looking for the least risky candidate. They don't really know anything about the technical details of the job itself in most cases. So I can understand people saying this as their number one. I'm surprised a receptionist ranked so high. Apparently ranked so low. Apparently more people would rather talk to a badger than a receptionist. That's the thing about badgers. You can never really be assured of good conversation. Managers influenced by, here's a slightly controversial one. Managers influenced by directing, rewarding, punishing, or all of the above. Now, the point I was trying to make with this question is that in my mind, it's pretty clear that it's all of the above, right? But what might have been less obvious is that, yes, directing, yes, rewarding, but punishing might not have been people's first choice. So when you say all of the above, you're acknowledging that all three of these are valid, and that includes punishing. That is one way to influence people. It's not usually the recommended way, but it is employed in a variety of situations. In my opinion, we should avoid that. But if you have to resort to that, then maybe something's wrong. But it is technically what they can use in their bag of tricks. Okay, the best thing I should learn is self-control, personal charisma, how to network effectively, and nunchucking skills. Obviously, that's a joke answer. Or is it? The winner was how to network effectively. Well, in terms of getting a job, I suppose, yes. These are all important apart from nunchucking skills, arguably. Self-control, I mean, if you don't have self-control, then maybe how to network effectively, isn't as important, right? Personal charisma is obviously very important, but if you don't have self-control. So I would say this would be probably the first thing people need to learn if they don't have that. And then if you do have that, then it would be this. That's what I'd say. And then after that, you would be this, because there's no point in networking if you're absolutely off-putting. So this, then that, and then that's a joke answer. That's what I would say. So a little bit different results than I was expecting. Okay, if I didn't get offered the job, it's most likely because I'm unemployable to everyone in the world. Okay, so sometimes it feels that way. Others are more qualified than me. It can easily feel that way. Others interviewed better than me. That's more of an assumption. And random, the odds are well below 50% for all jobs. Now, I was expecting this to be the winner because that's kind of what the right answer is. Others interviewed better than me. The problem with this is the meaning of better is subjective. But this is usually not the case. Okay, this is maybe correct in 0.1% of situations, if not less. Others are more qualified than me. Well, the thing is, qualified is debatable, right? Just like better, we have a problem with the definition. Well, qualified, we also have a problem with the definition. What the hell does that actually mean? It could mean technical qualifications, but it also means the soft skills, which, let's face it, that's what they're paying more attention to in the hiring process. So it could mean whatever you want it to mean. So I would say this should have been the winner because this is usually the way it goes. Okay. And then after that, I would say, okay, this order is true. So then this, then that, then that. These do better in job interviews. Extroverts, introverts, people who have personal charisma, and the French. The French is obviously a joke answer, or is it? I would agree with this. People who have personal charisma. So it doesn't really matter if you're an extrovert or an introvert. The only real difference between these, at least the definition I go off, which is the Myers-Briggs definition from Jung, I think, is basically, both of these can do social interaction really well. The difference is that extroverts enjoy it, whereas introverts, they don't. It's work for introverts, but technically they can both do social interaction just as well. This is the thing that's really going to win out. Okay, personal charisma. People with charisma tend to do better in job interviews, loosely speaking. So anything you can do to improve your personal charisma will help in a job interview. It's really not that hard. Just a couple of little tips and tricks. What's worse? Being fired, being ghosted, fake jobs, or rude recruiters? This one kind of surprised me. So being fired is number one, followed by fake jobs. That was surprising. Being ghosted, I could see that being a big problem considering how often people complain about that on my channel. And rude recruiters, I kind of expected that to be last because very few people really seem to complain about that, surprisingly. Okay, the most useful business subject to know is finance, project management, marketing, or economics. This is kind of, people sort of check these off in the order that they appeared, so I don't know if that's significant. But there isn't really an answer to this. There isn't one area of business that's more important than the others. People can always think up seemingly logical arguments by one area is more important than the other, but they're usually bogus. They're usually based on incomplete, appraisal of the situation. Yes, finance is important, but, when you consider that finance has absolutely nothing to do with the method of creating value, that really sheds light on it. Marketing, that has something directly to do with the process of creating value, just like operations does. Those are both important, but, marketing without being able to understand how to create something, it doesn't really work. Project management is anything that is not a ongoing routine thing. It's something that has a beginning and an end. And economics is the most high level of all the business topics. So where you're looking at everything from the 30,000 foot view, that's economics. So, it depends what you want to do. This is a totally subjective question. when they say something's useful, it depends on what you mean by useful. Useful for what? And everyone is going to have their own goals. So in a general sense, none is more important than the other. They're all equally important. So I just wanted to see what the perceptions were, and that's the perceptions. Let's see here. True or false? Learning how to network should be formally taught in high school. I strongly believe this. I think that people should be introduced to it at the very least, because it is so overwhelmingly important in life. And we're starting to see that these days, when the post-job market is sort of receding into the background a bit, networking is by far the most important way people get hired. So should you be taught about that in school? I think people should at least be taught about its awareness. So this is what people said. Should it be taught? False, it shouldn't be. Or true, it should be taught by high school teachers. True, it should be taught by Timothy Chalamet. I had to look up that person, who is apparently an example of a very handsome man. True, it should be taught by Sydney Sweeney. She is the equivalent of this individual, but female, put it that way. And these are like joke answers, but yeah, I basically believe this should have won out, and it did. I mean, these are all the same answer, really. These are just jokes. So it's good that a lot of people think this. Maybe in the future we might actually see some change with that. To be hired, you need to show you will not rock the boat, you actually want the job, you can easily work with others, or all of the above. Now, the point of me asking this question in this form was, if there was any uncertainty, I wanted it to be obvious that this was the answer. Okay? But many people may not have been aware that you have to basically show all three of these, during the hiring process. So I'm sure people could have gotten one or two of these, but I think a lot of people may not have realized it's all three. And so that's what I was trying to signal with this question. So I agree with this ranking, at least in the fact that this got the overwhelming amount of votes. If my boss reprimands me, I immediately think I'm a horrible, horrible person. Is there something I'm missing? So this is the natural consequence of my action, or F that. So it's like poetry, Okay, so this is not the right answer. At least it shouldn't be. I mean, I have no control over what people think, and depending on the details, you may think this. It may be logical that you think this. There's something wrong with that. But in a general sense, I would say that this is the wrong takeaway. I would say it would be a toss-up between the second and third answer, like B and C. So is there something I'm missing would be a reasonable takeaway. And so this is the natural consequence of my action. That would also be a reasonable takeaway. I'm sure most people do think this. We all think this in the moment, but I think that, for what it's worth, I think that people should go a bit beyond that, go a bit further and derive one of these conclusions from it and start thinking like that. That all might be self-evident. The worst thing about job seeking is fake jobs, experiencing rejection, recruiters suddenly ghosting me, or horribly uncomfortable interviews. The winner was fake jobs, which was kind of surprising. I know that people don't like fake jobs, but I would have thought it would have been this, but apparently it wasn't. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with the fact that this was the first option. Sometimes because it's first, more people click on it. Recruiter suddenly ghosting me. I think that this has a more profound impact, but maybe it's not as common as the first two. And horribly uncomfortable interviews. I don't know. This is also bad. So you had like 4 legitimate answers here. It was interesting to see which ones people react to the most. So apparently it was this. It was not what I was expecting. How many job interviews have you done in your life? This is more like market research for my channel, just to see what's out there. So 0 to 4 months, 5 to 10 months, 11 to 20 months, and more than 20. So here, it's people that have only been... sorry, what am I doing? I goofed this up completely. It's not how many months have you been unemployed. It's how many job interviews have you done in your life. So most people that have done little job interviews, only a few, are here filling in these polls. But strangely, more than 20 here. So I think that this continues down. It's just that this is sort of grouping in everything beyond this point, so it's understandable. So the highest proportion of any one category are people that have done very little job interviews. That makes sense. I usually leave job interviews feeling good, bad, indifferent, or apoplectic. I suspect a lot of people may not know the meaning of the word apoplectic. That's when you get very angry and you turn red with rage. So it was kind of a joke answer on my part. So I usually leave job interviews feeling good, feeling bad, feeling indifferent. Indifferent one. And apoplectic would be like raging, right? So this wasn't really a joke answer, but just the word was, kind of unusual for a lot of people. So maybe they thought it might be a joke. But this was surprising. I would have thought a lot of people would feel good, but I honestly didn't know what to expect for that one. And let's see here. This is the last one. So your most recent or current job lasted or has lasted less than a year. 1 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, or more than 5 years. So that means that, the job you're in now, or the most recent one you had, how long did it last? And the winner was less than a year. So that's interesting. I'm not sure if that means anything. Usually, if you got like a good cross-section of the population, like if you got a truly random sample, these would all be equal. They'd all be like 25%. But, maybe the people that need job search and career advice are probably people that, they're working in jobs that, tend to be more temporary. So maybe that's what's going on here. I honestly don't know. That's kind of interesting. Let me know in the comments if you have any opinions about this stuff. And, I hope you enjoyed this. This is a new type of video for me. I wanted to share the results with you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. Take care.